everyone. Welcome back to Once Upon a Van Life. We've got lots of adventures for you this time around. We finally made it south of the border. So this episode, we're going to tell you all about Washington and Oregon. So stay tuned. So once we got out to British Columbia in the new year, we realized that you can finally get health coverage to go back down over the border again, and particularly COVID coverage. So as soon as we realized that, we started looking into it and made plans to head south. So on March 15th, we went through the border crossing at, where was it, babe? Linden, which was one of the smaller ones in the area. We thought that might be in our best favor. And it didn't start out great, started a little rocky. We went in the RV line. We had our VIN number officially changed to a motorhome, and when we got up to the window, we came across a unhappy, bit disgruntled employee who basically, he yelled at us, told us we were not an RV, we were in the wrong line, we were a van, and we were wasting his time. So
we were just trying to follow the rules, make it easy to get across.
Because it said oversized vehicles, trucks, and RVs, and we considered ourselves an oversized vehicle or RV. So after lots of questions about our food, our dog food, where we were going, what money we had, etc. And we just stayed really happy and friendly and answered all his questions. He directed us over to have the van searched, and we had actually planned the whole day because we figured this was going to happen. So we had to put the dog into a kennel, which he did really good with. It was a really big kennel. We were actually really happy, and we were able to sit right inside the window while two lovely ladies from the Border Patrol searched the van, and everyone inside was super nice.
Just that one guy.
Yeah, they just wanted to know where we were going, why we were going, how long we'd be gone, and did we have money to accommodate ourselves, because they always are worried about you working over the border. So all said and done, I think it took about an hour. It wasn't that bad, and funny enough, by like 1 p.m, we were down in Bellingham, and we were trying to get a cell phone. Josh is going to tell you about that.
So one big thing about us going to the States was we needed to have some source of internet, some source of data, because when you're traveling, you need to be able to navigate and book campsites and just look and see where you're going, and the little towns.
Just for safety and communication with our family back home.
So I did a little research, and I found out that basically you can just buy like a US SIM card. You go to Walmart. This company we got it through is called Straight Talk. It was came to $60 Canadian
for a whole month.
Yeah, it took a little bit long to get it set up, but I basically just put the SIM card on my phone and I had unlimited internet. So we went on our way into Bellingham, and we went to Sam's favorite new grocery store called Trader Joe's, and did some grocery shopping, and then we found a really cool place, a little cool park called St. Clair Park and Whatcom Park, because we had to walk the dog. And we just found some cool waterfalls, almost like a grotto.
It was so cool. Again, just looking for somewhere to walk the dog. It was time for him to eat. He always has to have a walk before he eats. And again, we found this fantastic forest full of waterfalls. It was really, really cool, eh, babe?
So yeah, it was a really good way to start off our first day into the United States.
Yeah. So we came across this crazy thing. It looks like a water slide. It's not. It's got barriers across it. It's just a water diversion, but it literally looks like a water slide coming down into the river. So cool. And then there's this fantastic old stone bridge. And then on this side, you got a waterfall.
All right, so the next day when we were in Washington State, we went to a city that was on our bucket list, pretty much since we were teenagers, was Seattle. So beautiful. I guess if you're born in the 90s like us, that's just a place, the music, the art, just very, very famous place to want to go to. And it was awesome. We parked right beside the Space Needle, which right away we just thought of Frasier, obviously. And it was right next to the Museum of Pop Art, and there's a cool Chris Cornell statue and
a whole bunch of really cool exhibits outside, giant art pieces that are well worth seeing. The museum itself was closed on Wednesdays when we were there, but it was worth it just to see the stuff outside
too. And we got to see where the Seattle Kraken play, which is they're brand new this year, so it's cool to see the arena. And Seattle was just so cool because we went for probably about 2-3 hour walk, and it's
Mhm.
built basically on top of like a big cliff kind of. And we went to this place called the Public Market,
Yeah, that
which
was
is
really cool. We had just grocery shopped the day before, and we had the dog, so we couldn't, because a lot of it is indoor, but it's a very famous market. It's a really cool area if you're going to Seattle, and it also has the very first Starbucks ever. We all know Seattle means coffee, and so to see the first Starbucks, we didn't actually go in because there had to be a lineup of 50 people just to get in the door, which is
mhm.
crazy. I totally understand why, but it
Yeah.
was something neat to see.
And the name of the street is Pike Way, and that's why that
Pike Roast, right?
yeah,
Pike Roast
exactly, which was
coffee.
really cool. So
Yeah.
definitely go check out Seattle. We drove by like where the Seattle Mariners play and where the Seahawks play, and none of them were playing, so we couldn't go to a game. But amazing town.
Yeah.
And so we ended up heading down and going to Tacoma next, which was a little town that's just underneath.
Well, it's not so little.
I wouldn't
It's
say
pretty big,
it's pretty
actually.
big, and
Yeah.
we stayed at a harvest host there called North 47. It happened to be St. Patrick's Day,
so a brewery was really
Mhm.
appropriate.
and it was like right on a cliff too, and you could see Seattle. And we went to a little park that was probably like 5 minutes away, and it was a nice little place like right on the water. Yeah, so then after that we ended up going to Aberdeen, which is in Washington, where Kurt Cobain from
was
Nirvana
born
is
and
from.
raised.
And like I said, if you're from the 90s, it's just like a place that you want to go see because he grew up, all this myth and all the legend about it. And it's okay. It's kind of a small town. We were there for like, 15 minutes.
It's a little rundown, like, not to knock it, but there's not a lot other than a McDonald's and a main strip, and
Yeah.
it's a little rundown.
Yeah, we went to basically like the bridge where apparently he used to hang out.
Everyone's heard that he hung out down under the bridge or lived under the bridge, which I'm not sure if that's just folklore.
That's what I was going to say. It was still cool because he was there. But there's a statue there,
Yeah,
and
like
a
a
guitar,
monument.
and there's a house right beside it where apparently everyone says that's where he grew up. But there's signs all over it that say Kurt Cobain did not live in this house.
He did not live in this house.
It's still cool, and like I said, if you're a 90s kid like us, it was just kind of like a bucket list to go there. So
I think they just hung out under the bridge. That was a place where they used to hang out, him and his buddies in the band. So it was cool. So after Aberdeen, we headed down into Oregon, and oh my, what a beautiful state. We liked Washington, but Oregon took our breath away. The first place we went to was Fort Stevens State Park, and the campground itself is really nice. You start seeing some of those really big trees that are like as big as a dinner table, but the park had so much to offer. There were beautiful beaches that actually had this really cool black sand that we had never seen before. Huge sand dunes and bluffs that you could go walk through and explore. It was right near there that we actually saw people like sledding on the dunes for the first time, which was new for us. There's a shipwreck that you can see depending on how far the water's out.
From like 1902 or
Yeah,
something
like
that.
The whole front end of the ship is still there, which we've got some photos of. And there's the actual fort. So there's 2 different forts. We only visited one of them, but such a cool place. The park has so much hiking and so much to offer. I highly recommend it to be a stop if you ever get down to Oregon. It was really, really cool. So we are in Fort Stevens right now in Oregon. Water is really wavy today. I don't know if you can see in the video, but it's actually capping brown. It's stirring up so much with it. There's also a really cool shipwreck here. Or what's left of the shipwreck. It's pretty neat.
All right, so the next place we went to in Oregon was Portland, which blew our minds. Like somewhere, I heard to always go, but once you actually go there, you're like, man, the culture and just the lay of the city, it's beautiful. So we went to this park that's kind of like right in the middle of the city called Tabor Park. And it used to be like a long time ago, it was a volcano. And I guess when they started building the park,
They didn't realize.
they didn't realize it, and they found like all this volcanic rock that they actually used to like make the roads there too. So when you're walking through the park, you're actually like walking on volcanic rock. It's amazing. Great view of the city. And they also have these big water reservoirs, which
are decommissioned at this point. Mostly the ducks use them as ponds, but
it was cool. And everyone just walking around, good vibe there. Super
lots
cool.
of really unique and interesting people. Like, it's one of those places along our travels that we could see ourselves living. I mean, not like that we're going to get American status, but we could see ourselves there. There was just such culture. There was a Hawthorne area, which had so many vintage shops and thrift shops and bars and restaurants. It was the first time we got to have a beer on a patio, and we had a really yummy hummus platter for the season, which was really great. I'm sure you guys love having your first like sit on the patio and have a beer. It was only about 18 degrees, but it was so nice. And the food, oh my gosh, we had some really great tacos and a taco truck. And if you're ever in Portland, you have to visit Voodoo Donuts. There's 3 or 4 locations. We went to the original location. Oh my God.
We had to wait like half an hour to get these donuts, but it was awesome.
So worth it.
Right?
It was so worth it.
I had one that was like, had Captain Crunch on it, and one that was like a little voodoo doll guy. And
I had a peanut butter Oreo one. They had a whole level of vegan donuts, which was really cool.
Another, I think that was the one that was called Old Dirty Bastard, I think.
It was, yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But really cool place. It actually came suggested by Josh's sister in Portland.
Make sure you check it out.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
Good vibes, good food, good time.
All right, so after Portland, we kept heading down south, and we went to Eugene, which was actually recommended to us by somebody that we met in Bellingham. And we went to Eugene, and we went to Alton Barker Park, which is just outside where the University of Oregon is, and you could see the University of Oregon Ducks football stadium, which is massive.
Huge.
And the baseball fields there too, and this park was super nice. It was a giant dog park, which is great for the dog.
Massive community garden.
Yeah, it was. It was a good way to start the day and have your coffee and just get going. But Eugene was so cool because you could tell it's a university town.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of like art and like thrift stores. We went to.
Of course, we thrifted. Lots of thrifting.
Yeah, and the other cool thing was we found a Mongolian grill, which is...
So anyone from Waterloo region where we grew up, we used to have 2 of them, one in Waterloo and one in Cambridge, and they left years ago. And that's where you put all your food in a bowl raw, and then you take it up and they cook it on the grill right there for you, put it back in the bowl, and you take it to your table. And we found one!
It was awesome. We were super ecstatic.
We had to go. We had to go. We saw it and went, that's where we're going for lunch.
So then after that, we headed down to the coast.
Yeah.
And we went to Florence, and we stayed at this casino called Three River Casino there, which was so cool. Basically, you just check in and
register for a player's card.
Yeah.
And you get to stay for free your first night. There is a fee after that, I believe, but first night's free.
Yeah, and you get like $10. But they have there, which was amazing. We've never been. We've stayed at one casino in Ontario where we're from, but they didn't have power. So
you could actually plug the camper in, and that was free too.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't just that. To top it off, there was a guy in like a tuxedo driving a golf cart around that would shuttle you up to the front. Because if anyone that stayed at a casino knows, the RV lot is the very back parking lot, and like in Aurelia, it's like a 15-minute walk up to the front. It's
Yeah.
really far. And this guy would just come by every once in a while and say, would you like a ride to the front? So we went up and had dinner and beers. There was free coffee and water and soda. And then even when we came out at like 11 o'clock at night, he was standing there and said, would you like a ride back to your camper now?
We felt very fancy.
We felt very fancy for a casino.
Yeah.
A+ service to Three Rivers Casino.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was our favorite casino. I think that we stayed at for sure.
Yeah. And after that, we kept going down the coast there, and there was like beaches all along there. Like we just kept stopping, and the views are insanity.
Yeah.
Like it's just crazy. Like the beach and all these giant
rocks and grottos.
Yeah.
It was when it really started looking like you were heading towards California. For sure.
And right before we went to California, because that's going to be the next episode, we found this place called Port Orford, and basically you just pull up. It's like a lot that's like right on the side of a cliff, and you pay $20. You fill out this little form. You put $20 in this little box, and you can just stay there. And it was
overnight,
amazing. Like we went down, put the pictures of us on the beach there. We saw jellyfish right on the beach, and just it really, you started to be like, okay, like I'm starting to feel like I'm really on the West Coast there. And the other thing that happened there, though, was Sam was like cooking, and there was a guy that was like maybe like 20 feet away, and he was on a rock, and he was just babbling. He was very drunk.
Yeah.
And he didn't bother us or anything, but we were just kind of chilling, and we closed the door and whatever. And probably like, let's say a couple hours later, we went to open the door to like, go pee or whatever. And there was like kind of to go down to the beach, you had to like go down a hill. And there was flashing lights, and we think it was that guy.
We could see his bike on the ground.
Yeah.
We're not sure.
We thought we were going to get another story from the road, but then like half an hour later, there was
everything
no
was
lights.
gone. So we're
luckily
not sure.
Nothing happened.
I think he was fine. I think he was probably just laying on the side of the road with his bike, and he was pretty intoxicated. But we thought, oh God, what's this going to turn into? We thought the cops were going to come talk to us or something, but it turned out fine. But yeah, Port Orford, great place to stay. $20 on the honor system. Really nice stop.
Yeah. And then after that, we headed to California, which we'll tell you about next time.
That's our next episode.
So we just rolled up to this parking lot, Port Orford in Oregon, on the coast of Oregon. It's $20 to stay here. There's no hookups or anything, but man, look at this view. Insanity. It's just an empty lot. It's $20.
So it wouldn't be an episode without a story from the road. So this one's kind of funny. If anyone doesn't know, in Oregon, it's actually illegal to pump your own gas. So all gas stations are full serve, which is really nice.
You can get a fine. You can get a hefty fine if you do it. Yeah,
and they still clean your window for you and do all that kind of stuff, which is kind of fun. So after we had actually been at Mongolian Grill in Eugene, we went over to a gas station and we pulled up, and lovely young gentleman came up and let us know that the diesel pump was running slow that day. It was working, but running slow. So we said, no problem. We need to fill up anyway, and we're not in a hurry. So in he puts the nozzle, and he's chatting with us. He cleaned the window. He actually went and got the dog treats. Like, he was so cute, to the point where I said to Josh, like, I think we should give him a tip. He's doing such a lovely job.
And in the States, they have, in Canada, we used to have this where you could, like, basically had a little latch, and you could just put the pump in, and it would just keep going and stop.
So you
when
can
it's,
walk away, right? And then it just clicks when it's
so
done.
he kept coming back because it was slow, and we're like, oh,
because it took like probably 5 or 6 minutes, because we have a big tank to fill it up.
And Sam and I are just talking, and all of a sudden she's like, is that water? And I look down, and the diesel's just overflowing
all over
and
the ground,
I jump
out
out
the side of the van.
Like... I jump out, and I'm like, okay, you're not supposed to touch this, but there's just diesel going everywhere. It's going all over the side of the van. I got it all in my hands, all in my boots. So he grabs
the thing and like clicks it off and shoves it back in the hole. But yeah, at that point, there was probably a 10-foot puddle on the ground. It's down the side of the van, because where we fill is actually inside the passenger door. Josh has it on his shoes. He has it on his hands. vans, and oh my gosh, it was a big mess.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like saying, Christ, if Josh had been pumping it, this probably wouldn't have
And the guy
happened.
comes back and he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and he's like, "Go wash your hands." And yeah, I mean, it's actually on the driver's side, actually.
Sorry, driver's side. I said passenger
And
side.
I'm like, I'm trying to be nice because he was being so nice, but
he got paper towel and he was trying to clean like the side of the van.
I usually put on a glove when I pump the diesel because for some reason when people use diesel, they get it all over the handle, and now my hands smell like diesel. It was something. It was definitely like, okay.
And it was a lot of gas. Like, it sounded all of a sudden like someone had turned a tap on full blast. Like, that's how much gasoline was coming out all over the ground. But, I mean, Josh just went into the gas station. He was able to wash up a bit. His shoes smelt for days. Actually, he smelt for days, to be completely honest. The van smelled. It's good we weren't smokers and flicking cigarette butts out, because we probably would have lit the whole thing on fire. But that's another
story from the road.
All right, everyone. Well, that's another episode of Once Upon a Van Life. Make sure that you like, subscribe, click the little bell. If you haven't seen our other adventures, please go back and see all of our Canadian adventures. And next up on the road is California, so stay tuned.